Welcome to another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Gamache, and this time we are looking at a line that's been on Chef Knives to Go for a while now. This is the Goko Nashiji Shidogami, or white paper number 1 Gyuto 210mm knife. And as we just said, the core steel on this is a clad knife, so the core steel is a Shidogami, or white paper number 1 Hitachi reactive carbon steel. The heat treat is a little bit conservative on this, so this makes this line a good entry-level line for a lot of people. The heat treat's about 60 Rockwell, so it's not overly hard. A little bit of forgiveness to it. The construction is a 3-layer sandwich with stainless steel, a softer stainless steel cladding over the top of each side of that Shidogami number 1. The weight on the knife is 5.5 ounces, and these dimensions and weights will vary a little bit from knife to knife. These are hand hammered, but on this particular one, it's about 5.5 ounces, 156 grams. Blade length, again, will vary. This particular one is about 213 millimeters on the edge and about 14.2 inches overall. The spine thickness on this particular knife, coming out of the handle above the back of the blade, is about just under 3 millimeters. And then the height is quite generous on this. It's about 50.6 millimeters, so it's a rather tall 210 Gyuto. The handle is a no-nonsense, just basic chestnut handle, which is really just a dyed wood with some texture to it, and plastic ferrule on it. The ferrule's kind of a sleeve that fits over. There's a little bit of a jump between the ferrule and the wood. Some people do sand that down. They tape up the ferrule, and then they sand just this end, and it takes some of the stain off of it, but if you want that smooth, you can do that. The handle actually is pretty comfortable. It's a D-shaped handle on the right side, but I'm a lefty. I have no problems whatsoever with the D-shape at all. In fact, some lefty friend of mine, I've handed them D-shaped handles before, and they go, "Oh, I got a place for my thumb." So D-shaped, I don't think is as big a deal as some people make it out. So if you're lefty, no worries. The handle circumference is fairly large, 81 millimeters, 3.2 inches, but the blade is pretty tall, so there's still loads of clearance for your fingers on a cutting board. Not a problem there. I found the handle actually kind of fit the knife pretty well for me. I use this knife actually a fair amount. I really wanted to give this a little bit of a workout, and I do want to really apologize for not recommending this line more often. This knife was it's really just a great knife. It's just a solid performer. There's no frills to it, but it's got a nice Nashiji or pear finish on it. It's got a good grind to it. It's got some handcrafted charm, so you've got hand chiseled kanji. It's not deep kanji, but it is definitely there. It's hand chiseled, and you can see the Nashiji or pear skin finish, and it's real easy to tell where the grind of the knife starts down towards the edge. And you can see the core steel showing up at the edge where it peeks out from the stainless steel cladding. This knife doesn't have a ton of distal taper. It thins out a bit from that initial coming out of the handle thickness, but then it just kind of keeps some of that once it gets to a certain thinness and doesn't really thin out until you hit the grind of the blade, which is fairly high on the blade. This tip goes through ingredients much better than I would expect just looking at this knife and the geometry. So you can't always tell simply by saying distal taper, no distal taper, how the tip's going to work. So this tip worked better, quite a bit better than I was expecting. The overall knife is a pleasure to use. It's ground well. It has really good food release, pretty low wedging really, and it's just a pleasure to use. It's got a fairly stiff feel. It's a confident feel in the hand. Nice balance point. I'm going to back off my focus here a little bit, but the balance point for me was just about on a pinch grip. So right about there, and my pinch grips were right there. Very neutral, nimble feel. But it's got a little bit of heft to the blade and a little bit of, like I said, stiffness for confidence. And the edge is thin, but it's not ridiculously thin. For a little bit of forgiveness as well. So this would make a good introductory line to Japanese handmade knives if you want. Adam Marr recommends these all the time, and now I understand better why he does. It's just a solid knife. It's a good performer. Out of the box edge on this thing is just great. It was stinking sharp out of the box, and I've been using it and just doing very light touch-ups on the let's see, leather with some charged compound on it, and it's just been getting stinking sharp. So just a pleasure to use this knife. Good fit and finish on it. You've got just enough relief on the spine and the choil to make it pretty comfortable, but you could clean that up just a little more with some sandpaper if you wanted. So, just a solid performing Gyuto. So I will be recommending this line more often. They're good values for the money and just well-crafted knives. So there you have the Goko Nashiji Shirogami #1 Gyuto 210mm.